It is an important lesson. 2 out of 3 times it worked. It's like how when I started to go to college 25 years ago, right before during the summer, I was exposed for the first time to things like alcohol and marijuana. And because it was college and it was a liberal environment and all of these other things, I did it. I experimented with marijuana and alcohol, and this completely changed the trajectory of my life. I was supposed to go to the synagogue. I was supposed to go to the Hillel. I was supposed to eat dinner. I was supposed to start taking courses to get to learn the language and to work to do things formally. That's what I was supposed to do. And I went to the first dinner and something said, don't. Not yet. I didn't know at that time that when I was doing that, the President of the United States had just signed some executive order connected to securities they had already set up on my life since my driver's license. I didn't know that. And I didn't know that right after I gone and spoken with the rabbi that the reason I was told not to go back is because what they wanted me to do was to go with the Irish person who was supposed to be more genotypically, I suppose, of the kind of demographic I was supposed to represent. And then he wanted to watch a movie with me that was about a man who had his subordinate who worked for him, provide him with all kinds of sexual gratification, including in the workplace, in a manner that involved all kinds of breaches of what would be considered an appropriate power dynamic. And then told me he wanted me to be his girlfriend. And because I said no, everything in my life was thrown out. And nobody wanted to support me in getting any sort of grievances addressed concerning the fact that a man who could have very well been my academic sponsor tried to get me to agree to an S&M relationship with him in so far as I might even have been his student before I even started college. So yes, I did. I got lured into drugs and into alcohol at that time. Then a second time. I hadn't done any drugs, I hadn't done any alcohol for years. And then I started being put through excruciating pain. And I went to the hospital. When I was in the hospital, they told me they were going to send me to a program that was going to help me with my mental health issues. And while I was in that program, every single day, I was required to attend an Alcoholic Anonymous class. Every single day. I had to listen to other people tell stories about how alcohol and drugs had destroyed their lives. All of them would have different stories. And you see, I'm there being programmed. And they don't tell you what the programming is, they don't tell you how they do it. They don't tell you why it is that they said, well, actually, it's a mental issue. It's a mental health issue. It's not about you actually being targeted with vibrational weapons and being able to understand that they're trying to implant an unconscious trigger and then get you to accede to agreeing that you committed that crime or that you would commit the crimes that they were trying to set up or they were trying to embed into your unconscious. That's why they don't say, yes, you're being subjected to directed energy weapons and we have a way to help you with that. They don't say that. They say that you have a mental illness and it's caused by a chemical imbalance in your brain and that they're going to give you medication in order to adjust the chemistry and then they're going to put you through programming. I contend that if you go in and demonstrate you have cognizance that you are being subjected to directed energy weapons, and they tell you that they are going to help give you temporary measures to help alter your brain chemistry, and then you're going to be given a program to help you adjust to and acclimate to understanding your responses and what is possible when you are in the course of being subjected to directed energy weapons and or prepared for a process of being directed energy weaponized. It's completely different than lying to somebody and telling them they're mentally ill and that they need to be programmed so that they can be stabilized for some sort of performance that's considered socially acceptable. And so every day I was in that program, I had to listen to people talk about their alcohol and drug problems in official programming sessions. And then on the outside, most of the time, a lot of time, they were talking about how they were going to try to get alcohol or drugs in a manner that they knew was not appropriate and not acceptable because they were on and in a situation where they were not allowed to consume outside drugs or alcohol. This went on for months, almost nearly a year, and afterward, again, I gave in. And I went into a situation where I started drinking alcohol while I was being drugged and told that I had to take drugs in order to have a job. And the affirmation that that was exactly what they wanted was that when I said, I do not want to take drugs anymore, I want to go through a process whereby I can stop being dependent on drugs, I lost my job. Now, you could say, well, there's these other factors, there's these other things going on, there's all of this. Yes, there was. Indeed, there was. And I've tracked it, but I wouldn't have been able to track it if I was on drugs. Now we're in a different situation. And I am not going to agree to cooperate with your plan of normalizing people to accepting drugs as a substitute for political representation. And if absolutely nobody can actually perform the role as a political representative of someone like me, then they need to step down. And they need to give me and people like me a chance to represent ourselves and to provide for other people an option to being forced drugged and subordinated to people that won't tell them the truth.